Okay, welcome along to the three final legs. We're here to discuss all things IPL. Group stage over, done, and we're into the playoffs. Alongside me, Nikesh Rughani and Abhishek Jhunjhunwala. As always, lads, first of all, group stage finally over. It's felt like a bit of a long slog. I can't imagine what it must have been like in the bubble for all the players and staff who've been working out there. But yeah, I suppose at the end, what were your thoughts on the final four who managed to get through?
I think quite predictable in terms of the Mumbai Indians, of course, four times champions, finishing top of the group. No real problems. Yeah, they struggled in their last game against the Sunrisers, but, the Sunrisers had a lot riding on that. They had to go out and win that match, Mumbai. It was just, another sort of going through the motions type event. I suppose the two surprises, really, the Delhi Capitals, the fact that they've been largely consistent through the group stages of the IPL. Yes, they had a little blip towards the end of the group stages, but they've been one of the strongest sides through the stages. They're safely through. Royal Challengers Bangalore, another side who's not won the IPL. Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, is this their year? Will they finally get it done? A lot of people expecting a lot of things from them, given their bowling attack as well. And, the Sunrisers, well, ever since there has been a Sunrisers Hyderabad franchise, they made the playoffs. That's what they do. So no real surprise, I suppose, there. But the fact that they left it so late made it exciting for all of us. But I suppose the two real surprises, Bangalore and Delhi, Mumbai and Sunrisers, you'd kind of expect them to be there or thereabouts every year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I felt was the way Sunrisers came back into this tournament, winning the last three matches, which was all do or die for them. And they beat all the three other teams who are there in the playoffs as well. So that will give them a massive boost going into the playoffs. And they're going to play Royal Challengers Bangalore, which they had a huge win against in the last game as well, in the match before the last one. So Royal Challengers Bangalore will be very wary of playing against Sunrisers Hyderabad, because at the moment their team looks a very balanced side to me, and they've got pretty much all their bases covered in terms of their batting, bowling, and the fielding has been exceptional as well yesterday.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the whole competition so far as well. We'll talk a little bit about the Indian squad, which is heading out abroad as well. But I want to just focus briefly on when you're going into a tournament like this, into the final stages, how important is that sort of momentum and bounce? Because the Delhi Capitals, RCB, they've been struggling for wins at the moment as well. So does that make the Mumbai Indians and the Sunrisers favourites in their respective games?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so, because Mumbai Indians, yes, they lost yesterday against Sunrisers Hyderabad, probably their biggest loss so far in this year's competition. But they were resting Bumrah, they were resting Bolt, they were resting Hardik Pandya, and which was the right thing to do from their aspect, from their side as well, because they wanted their big guns to rest. And again, Rohit Sharma coming into the side is a massive boost for them. Yes, he's not looking in form, he's looking a bit out of touch, but he's somebody who can turn things around on the day. And when they play Delhi Capitals tomorrow, you might see Rohit Sharma in a completely different role. So yes, it's always a positive when you start winning matches. And when we talk about Royal Challengers Bangalore, they have lost their last three games, so they have no momentum coming to the top four. And it's a surprise to me that even after losing the last three games, they still managed to qualify in the top four.
Yeah, and I certainly think the side that, aside from the Mumbai Indians, everybody will be wary of the Sunrisers Hyderabad coming up against them. Since Ridham and Saha has come into the side to open the batting, they look like a completely different unit. And that's amazing to say, given the fact that Johnny Bairstow, one of the greatest white ball players in the world at the moment, has been left out at the expense of Ridham and Saha, who, he's a test match keeper for India. We used to seeing him play with the red ball, but he has done it over consistently over the IPL through the last few years. He's always been a solid player in the IPL, and it seems to suit him batting with David Warner at the top of the order. We saw that against the Mumbai Indians, carrying his bat for that famous win, 10-wicket win, and that will give them loads of confidence. They've got a strong middle order, got a strong bowling lineup. Any side with Rashid Khan in, the way Sandeep Sharma's bowling as well. I think they're certainly the ones to look out for.
Yeah, what I think what Riddhiman has done to the side, to to Sunrisers Hyderabad, is that he's giving them a very good start in pretty much every game. He's got over 200 runs with an average of nearly 70 or 80, and with a very good strike rate as well. And that's taken a lot of pressure off David Warner. And that has given David Warner the time to get settled. And he's not the one who's the aggressor now, it's Wriddhiman Shah. And also it provides this great stability to the likes of Kane Williamson and Manish Pandey. When they're coming in, they already have a foundation.
What a keeper he is as well. I mean, we saw, a catch in that match against the Mumbai Indians, standing up to the wickets. We've seen him diving around as well. He's the best keeper in India, surely, at the moment.
I think he's the best keeper in the world, period. I don't think anybody has a better glove work than Wriddhiman Shah in the world. Even MS Dhoni, I mean, when they were both playing Test cricket and MS was playing one-day cricket, there's always been a talk that Wriddhiman Shah is better with the gloves, but obviously MS Dhoni, you can't come. He's a total package.
What about if we look at the last 4 stage and the conditions as well? How important do you reckon the toss is going to be? Because the dew factor seems to be sort of taking its sort of place in the competition. Everyone's talking about it as well. So you guys, if you were to win the toss, what would you guys be doing?
There is no alternative. You just win the toss and you bat. You field. You don't bat. You put the opposition to bat, because the dew factor is playing a massive role. And yesterday, David Warner said it in his press conference as well. And I was commentating in the match yesterday. And you can see the difference when they came out to bat in the first innings. Mumbai Indians, the ball was stopping. It was hard to play any strokes. The ball was not coming onto the bat as well as you would like. But in the second innings, everything they tried, it worked. The ball was coming onto the bat nicely. The spinners found it difficult to grip the ball because of the dew factor. So I think any team which wins the toss will elect to field first.
Absolutely, yeah, agree with that. And as Abhishek says, we've seen it towards the latter part of the tournament in particular. And I don't think it really matters going to different grounds, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Dubai. That dew factor is always going to be there. Yes, the conditions change slightly, but it makes a massive difference with that ball coming onto the bat in the second innings, and also in these pressure matches as well. It's just nice to know what you need to do to win the match, exactly how many runs you need, because sometimes playing on used wickets, you don't quite know what a par total is. At Sharjah we were seeing totals of 200 plus scored with regular ease at the start of the tournament. As the tournament went on, sides were still aiming for that 200 and falling well short 140, 150, when in fact 170, 180 would have been more than enough. And if they batted a bit more sensibly, they would have got that. So there's that uncertainty aspect as well, which I think proves crucial when winning the toss. So you'd be hard pushed to find a captain who'd want to bat first.
Am I right in saying that this is the first time CSK haven't made it through to the final 4?
Yeah, apart from the 2 years that they were suspended from the IPL, yeah, first time they've not made it to the top 4. They came back well towards the end of this tournament, missing out on the top 4 in the end by 2 points. It was such a tight group stage, wasn't it? Probably the closest we've seen in a good number of years. But yeah, first time they failed to qualify. But the Sunrisers, since they changed from the Deccan Chargers into the Sunrisers Hyderabad, they have got that perfect record of making the playoffs every time.
And Tala said he's not going to retire, so MS looks like he's going to be back for another season.
It seems like it, that he's going to lead CSK again next year. And he's made it very, very clear that I'm not retiring. If people are thinking I'm not going to be back, I will be back. But yeah, again, as we mentioned earlier, going back to the bio bubble, a lot of people are very happy, especially Chris Gayle. He's posting a lot of stuff on social media, having a ball in Dubai, pretty much partying every night in Dubai, so he's not complaining.
Yeah, he parties everywhere he goes, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it's just in his DNA. That guy can't help but party, that guy. I think most of the players seem like they've had a good time over there. I mean, the tournament as a whole, I've quite enjoyed it because I think the social media channels of all the respective teams have been pretty cool at giving us an insight into how everything's been going out there. And I think it's been a really good competition because the amount of super overs and last over finishes, you don't really get that in any other competition in the world.
And also the fact that yesterday was the last game of the group stage, and it was one of the most important games of the season. Yeah. So that makes the tournament such an exciting tournament overall.
Yeah, in terms of the matches as well, as you say, those super over finishes, the fact that, the matches were, had a lot riding on them right up until the final game of the group stage, massive excitement for all the fans watching. I think one thing that you mentioned there about the team's social media channels, yes, they've done a great job. They've given us great behind the scenes access. I think there is a little bit of concern though from the Indian press contingent. Obviously, they know why they've not been allowed this time because of COVID and because of the rules around, all that, the safety measures that are out there with the bubbles and everything. There is a concern, though, that when the IPL moves back to India, how many journalists will be allowed to travel and to cover these matches? Because, they're saying that, at the end of the day, the Mumbai Indians are showing us what they want us to see, the Rajasthan Royals, etc. All the franchises are seeing what they want us to see, but we can't be on the ground. We can't be bringing you the stories objectively. And I think that is a bit of a concern that perhaps needs addressing, because there's been a lot of concern from Indian journalists, a lot of whom, we work with and have come across over the years, that if this carries on and if the tournament heads back to India and they're still not allowed to travel in those big numbers like they always used to, then the kind of news we're getting from the IPL may not quite be as objective as we used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trend, isn't it? That all the teams are having a big social media presence everywhere, and it's all been controlled by their own people. So you're only seeing the news, what is put out by the franchise, rather than knowing exactly what's going on, and that's a concern. If the press is not allowed to cover the stories, all to find any details about anything, then it's all being controlled by the respective franchise. So
and I'll give you an example of that. Rohit Sharma's injury.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what was going on. The Mumbai Indians kept that really, really quiet as to, the extent of the injury. We didn't even really know what it was until a good few days down the line, what kind of fitness routines he's going through, what kind of, rehabilitation, how long the timeline is before he comes back into the side. No, nobody knew any of those things. So the Mumbai Indians controlled that situation very well. Whereas if you had a free press on the ground covering these games, they might be able to get to the heart of the story, tell you exactly what's happening, and report that back to the many fans, not just to the Mumbai Indians, but of the Indian cricket team, because Rohit Sharma has to play a crucial role in Australia if he's fit with that Indian side. He's been left out of the squad. That's been another controversial thing that's happened. But obviously with that injury, there was no way that the Indian selectors felt they could have included him. They included him as a reserve. They're going to monitor his fitness from now until when they travel to Australia. So that's, again, another interesting situation.
Yeah, it was a bit surprising that even the Indian selector didn't have any idea what happened to him. Apart from Mumbai Indians, nobody knew. So pretty much they were controlling the whole news. And it was shocking for everyone to see him walk down the pitch yesterday and, turn up for the toss and lead the side. Because no one expected Rohit to play the tournament at all. If he was not selected for Australian tour, no one expected him to play the IPL. But now, because he has played the match yesterday, how can you leave him out? How can you not select him for the Australian series? That's a big question.
Yeah,
and that's what Ravi Shastri and Saurav Ganguly have been saying, haven't they? Ganguly made a statement about Rohit Sharma, just basically explaining the situation that, look, he's not been fit. That's the reason he's not been selected in those squads, because there was a lot of abuse for the selection committee on Twitter, on Instagram, on across all social media. Why haven't you selected Rohit Sharma even as a possible, just to test his fitness before they go out there? He explained that, look, he's injured, he's on the reserve list. If he's fit, he plays. Simple as that. So he's made that very clear.
Yeah. And it's strange because if you want to challenge coaches or players on their form, their tactics, things like that, you can't really do that if you haven't got journalists sort of at the ground. And, you have the host broadcaster, they have a limited time to do a pretty straightforward interview off the back. But then if you really want to start putting a bit of pressure on why certain decisions are made or not being made, you can't really do that if some of the journalists are there or not. And so this is the strange world we're living in as well, because as India now go to Australia as well, you'd like to think that there's still going to be those Zoom conferences and players will be able to sort of, I suppose, attend some of those online digitally as well as the coaches and things like that. What do you guys make of the squads as well? Because a lot of chat on social media about certain players who made it, certain players who didn't as well. Surya Kumar Yadav, a lot of fans saying, look, this guy's been performing in the IPL for a number of years now, super consistent, and he's not getting a look in at the moment. So is he someone that you guys would have picked or taken?
100%. I would have definitely picked Surya Kumar Yadav, at least for the one days and T20. Not Test cricket, yes, but both the white ball format, I would have definitely picked him. And not just because of his performance in this year's IPL. He's been consistent in the Indian domestic scene for over the years, like for the past 3 or 4 years. And same in the IPL. He's been one of the best performers for KKR. And then when he joined Mumbai Indians a couple of seasons back, then he's been phenomenal for Mumbai Indians. And see, I understand Ravi Shastri tweeting saying, stay strong, keep your hopes high, be patient. And same again, Saurav Ganguly said the same thing. But he's not a 24-year-old. You're asking to be patient here. You're asking a 30-year-old to be patient. And how much patience will he have? He's run out of it. He's been waiting to get into the side for the last 4 years. You're not picking him for whatever reason it is. You're not picking him. And then you're asking him to be patient. And another year or two, he'll be out of the scene. Then you start calling him. He's too old to be picked. So
Yeah.
he's in a very difficult situation here. I don't know if there is something going on between him and Virat, where Virat doesn't like the way he plays or he doesn't pick him. But there's definitely something going on behind the scene for him not to be picked.
But I love the way that his reaction after scoring those winning runs against the Royal Challengers Bangalore, just his celebration, saying, don't worry, stay calm. I'm here. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I'll get the job done. And for Virat Kohli to see that, not just the celebration and the reaction, but just the brilliant innings that he played and he has done so often, but to do it in front of the Indian captain, sending a clear message there that, I'm good enough to be in these India sides, but it's your call at the end of the day. You guys make those decisions. I'm just going to keep doing what I do and scoring those runs. But also that tweet from Rohit Sharma, have you seen that? It's been doing the rounds recently.
Yeah.
It's a screenshot from 2011 where he says, watch out for this guy. This guy's definitely one for the future. Yeah. Surya Kumar Yadav, remember the name. This was 2011, so he would have been, 21 years old then. That's when, you kind of want people to be patient and wait for their opportunity. He's waited 9 years since then to even get a look in, and he's still not made it.
Yeah, I think he's the most consistent number 3 you've got in the IPL this year, but it hasn't been for a number of years as well. I look at some of his sort of rivals in that position in the IPL. You've got Virat himself, you've got Shreyas Iyer as well. And I'd like just Surya Kumar Yadav's classical technique, but also super inventive. I think when he gets past 50, his strike rate goes up into the 200s, doesn't it? And he's super creative. He can really play all around the wicket. He's a 360 player.
Also, he's somebody who can win you games single-handedly. Yes, Virat is a great player. He's an unbelievable player in all formats. But if we talk about Virat Kohli, he's been consistent throughout his career. But if we talk about the last 4 games when Virat has come in, if we talk about his strike rate, not many people would talk about it. But he's taken far too many balls in the middle overs where the net run rate has gone down, with the run rate, the scoring rate has gone down, and he's putting immense amount of pressure on AB de Villiers to come out and do everything to get the run rate or whatever, to get the score to that 170, 180. It'll happen once, it'll happen twice. It's not going to happen 10 times in a tournament. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons that RCB has lost the last 3 games, because in the middle period, Virat has eaten up too many deliveries.
What about KL Rahul in the test team, guys?
Yeah, I mean, KL Rahul is, he's sort of the pretender to the throne of MS Dhoni. He's expected to be in that side and in all 3 formats of the game for the next good few years. And, it seems as though Virat Kohli really likes him. He's a leader. He's, of course, the captain of the Kings 11 Punjab. He's got that little bit of maturity about him. He's a good gloveman, but, as we've said before, Riddhiman Saha, the best gloveman that they've got to pick from. And, do you go for that specialist batsman, or do you go for the best guy with the gloves? And, if Riddhiman Saha's batting as well as he's doing right now, it might be different format, red ball, white ball, whatever, but he's bat against ball at the end of the day. And if he's hitting the ball well, maybe he deserves his chance, batting down there at number 7, and you could bring somebody else into the top order.
And I also feel Riddhiman Saha is not a bad player in Test cricket. He's got a couple of 300s, if I'm not wrong, in Test cricket as well. So whenever he's got an opportunity, he has performed. And in Test cricket, you need somebody who's the best gloveman in your country, not who can do a bit of everything. You need somebody who will take those crucial catches which can win you a match. So you will need somebody who's the best wicketkeeper in the country, period. If you want to play somebody in Test cricket.
I agree. I've seen Rahul and Pant miss some opportunities in the tournament this year so far, and you just immediately think that Saha wouldn't miss those. Saha was quick with the stumping the other day as well. He's just natural, isn't he? He's a complete natural with the gloves behind the wicket as well.
And also, another interesting thing, you mentioned KL Rahul. So where would he bat in the order? Perhaps at the top of the order. I mean, that's another area of huge debate when it comes to the Indian Test team. Do you go with Mayank Agarwal? Do you go with Prithvi Shaw? I mean, Shaw has been, he's had a couple of decent scores in this year's IPL, but he's looked a shadow of himself, really. He's just not hitting his straps as we'd expect him to, and hasn't really done, a lot of note domestically either. He's been, fairly okay, and he's been scoring a few runs, but he's not been the outstanding player that we expected him to be. Yes, there has been a lot of pressure on him at a young age, and yes, he has tended to deliver in the Test matches he's played so far. But can you trust him down under against Australia? You're going to throw him into that situation. Do you need somebody else who's got a little bit more maturity about them, even if they've got a few more years on the clock and been around the domestic circuit a bit longer? Just that little bit of a more mature brain to bat at the top of the order against what is a really, really strong Australian bowling lineup. Don't get me wrong, India did really well last time to win that series in Australia, but the Aussies are a much, much stronger side this time round. Not just their bowling, their batting as well. They've got the likes of David Warner back, Steve Smith back, who were both missing last time. The bowling unit looks a lot more gelled and a lot more sort of world-class now, as they've had time to sort of play more matches together as well and in different conditions. It's going to be a really, really tough tour, as it always is. And can you trust Prithvi Shaw to play 4 Test matches batting at the top of the order, the way he plays as well?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough call, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes for India and Australia. It's not going to be an easy series. So it's going to be an interesting series.
Yeah, I think we can analyse that properly when we get closer to the start of the tour as well. So to finish off, guys, what are we thinking then for the first 2 eliminators? Who's your money on for the Mumbai Indians Delhi Capitals? That's the first game, first versus second. Then you got the Royal Challengers Bangalore against the Sunrisers Hyderabad. I'm thinking, if you look at it on form, from my perspective, Mumbai should do Delhi. They've beaten them twice already this year in the competition. And then the other one, Sunrisers, they had a great win against the RCB recently. So you've got to fancy the Sunrisers in that one as well.
I'm backing Sunrisers to win the tournament.
Ooh, good shout, big shout.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's hard for me to say because I've, sort of been with the Mumbai Indians since 2008. They've kind of been my team all the way through. But I've just got a feeling they'll get to the final, they'll beat Delhi, and then the Sunrisers are just going to carry on this juggernaut and just completely wipe everyone away. I think that top of the order has been sorted out now with Saha playing so well. Their bowling's looking really sharp. Sandeep Sharma in particular, Rashid Khan, we all know what he can do as well. And they've got a couple of exciting youngsters in there as well. So I just think, on paper, you'd probably back the Mumbai Indians 9 times out of 10. But I think the Sunrisers, with the form they're in at the moment, the confidence they got running through the camp as well, they're coached really well as well. They've got a great backroom staff, and they just seem really together. And I think this is going to be their year again.
And also, what I think, Nikesh, is that Jason Holder has brings such a good balance to this side, both with bowling and batting, that it's really helped the side. In the middle order, he can come somebody who's coming at number 7 or 8. And if you need 30 of the last 2, he's somebody who can do it, which they were lacking earlier. Now they've got that firepower at number 7 or 8 who can win them matches in tough situations, both with bat and ball.
And he's another international captain as well. So they've got 3 of them in the side. They've got David Warner, who's the captain of the side. And they've got 2 international captains there, and Kane Williamson and Jason Holder. A lot lot of experience in there. And Holder, with the ball as well, doing a really good job opening up the bowling for them.
I think his death bowling's superb, actually. He's so good with his change-ups as well. And he's quite adventurous as well, super brave. He'll go for the slow Yorker, or he'll try and go for the full fast Yorker as well. He's really good at varying his pace and length. And I just mentioned Rashid, he's another, isn't he a T20 captain for Afghanistan as well? I think so. They've got a lot of leadership in that as well. So I know they look like the form team. They look like the juggernaut. So shall we catch up, I suppose, before the final now? We'll try and catch up before the final. Or I guess we could try and keep our fans, followers, whatever you want to call them, there. They could come and tune in after maybe the first 2 eliminators are finished as well, because then there'll be the second eliminator before the final as well. So we'll try and squeeze in another episode maybe there as well. We'll try and touch upon the women's IPL with this sort of new format they're trying, aren't they, before they potentially launch into an IPL. So we'll try and chat a little bit about that, because I think they're touching down and playing in Sharjah as well. So that'd be interesting as well. Nice one, guys. Anything else to report, talk about, get off your chest? We'll talk about the American election if you want next time as well.
No, it's all right.
If the result ever comes out.
We might still be here next week.
That's not coming out for a while.